Hi everyone, welcome to another video. It got hot today, so the AC is currently on, so if you hear noise, the background noise, that's gonna just be the AC. My hair clips are not doing a good job today. And then I'm going to put on some under eye primer. So I used my Dominique Cosmetics primer, and now I'm going to use my Bobbi Brown for under my eyes and on my eyelids. And then I'm going to put on some kind of under eye corrector that would probably help. And I think today I'm going to use the SHAISHAISHAI Banana Eye Cream. It doesn't quite conceal or correct as much as my other products do, but it is very, very hydrating, which I think I need a little bit more of today. So that's why I'm going with this. Yeah, you can see it doesn't really do too much. I usually just put this on for like if I don't have any other makeup on but I look super dead, I'll put this on so I look a little bit less dead. I'm going to use my Givenchy Prisme Libre foundation. This was the one that I got from Reddit. It was being sold for like under $40, and so it was one of those beggars can't be choosers moments where you just are like, well, it's cheap, so I don't really have a choice, right? So unfortunately this is not my shade. I definitely would have preferred to have N95. If I contour enough, I can make it work. I also just don't put on like a super heavy layer or anything like that. This is a really good foundation. I did get at this point several comments, and I also have seen several posts of people really praising the concealer, and I had plans on getting that right before the Sephora sale ended, but unfortunately it sold out in my shade, so I guess everyone else had the same idea. It is waiting on my wish list at the next opportunity, so whenever it goes on sale or if the site has like a lot of cash back or whatever is when I'll get it. And of course it's not just Sephora that carries the product, so I've heard multiple people at this point say that they actually prefer the concealer over the foundation as a foundation, and it just sounds really up my alley, especially since I am into higher coverage, so I am definitely down to try it. I just, whenever it comes back in stock. I do intend on making a video discussing some ideas I have for the channel next year. Not quite covered, but pretty high coverage. I can't really put on any more right now because my under eyes are just so dry, which is annoying, but that is just kind of what we're stuck with. I need to get my skincare in order. I think my skincare is just not hydrating enough. I'm going to use this powder from Flower Nose. This is the Flower Goddess setting powder. I don't think you can get it anymore, which is a shame. It is really nice. I got the kind that said it was specifically for dry skin. They had one for dry skin that says it's hydrating and one for oily skin. I'm definitely interested to see how well it works over the winter. I definitely thought it was a beautiful powder during the spring and summer, but it actually got up to 80 degrees today in the height of the day, and it got really muggy inside, so I did have to turn the AC on. As soon as the sun goes down, the temperature starts dropping again, so now it is cold and dry again. Okay, I'm gonna use my SUQQU Eye Enhancing Primer. Definitely my eyelids are too dry for the NARS Smudge Proof Eye Base for now. Okay, and then I need to do my eyebrows. So I'm going to use my Too Faced pomade and a pencil, which is in the shade Soft Black. I believe that all of Too Faced's brow products were very rapidly discontinued. I do want to get that Moon Crush highlighter someday, but I know I only want it mostly for the packaging, although the color would work for me, so that's why I haven't gotten it yet. It would literally just be like, oh, it's just for the sake of me having something cute. That is asymmetrical as heck. Oh my gosh. Look at how messy that is. I'm going to take a brush to blend it out instead of a spoolie because this is so bad. My right eyebrow looks fine. It could be better, but it's fine. But this left eyebrow, no. So I'm gonna use the brush first to actually like kind of pull off some of that pigment just so it's not as stark. It's not gonna like bring the symmetry back obviously, but I'm just removing excess product to try and make it a little bit less obvious how asymmetrical these are. I will use my brow flick in black and start using that to kind of start trying to pull the two a little bit closer to each other. Don't really need to add any extra brow hairs to the front of that brow though. Okay, I think, so definitely it's not going to look perfect, but I don't want to screw it up too much. I don't really like going back in with concealer to cover my eyebrows because it just makes my skin extra crusty. So whenever I screw up like this, there's really not too much I can do. The last thing I'm going to do, however, is I am going to take a little bit of powder foundation and just kind of tone down the top of this eyebrow up here. Otherwise, I'm going to kind of look like I got like really bad Botox or something. So I'm going to take a small eyeshadow brush and I'm going to use this powder foundation to see if I can just fade out the top a little bit. It's not going to be perfect. Yeah, I don't really have the ability to use concealer right now, so it's a little bit less obvious. Okay, so I'm going to pick out an eyeshadow palette. I kind of started this filming a little bit haphazardly. I didn't really want to film, but I really do need to film, so I haven't even thought of the eyeshadow palette and the look I'm gonna do, so that's why I was like, well, I can at least get the foundation down and see it, and I'll keep thinking. So okay, so honestly, despite my backlog being like a bazillion sticky notes long, I just was not really feeling anything. Like, I didn't want to do anything blue or purple, and I didn't want to do anything neutral because I feel like those have been done to death recently for me for some reason. Like, I looked at my recent videos and I was like, wow, I've been like so boring lately, but like most of the palettes on my backlog are neutral and I'm just super into neutrals right now. But I wanted to do something a little bit different for you guys because I know a lot of you guys watch me because it's not super common to find people with my eye shape doing makeup that is super colorful, and I don't want to let you down, and it's also good to not get too comfortable. So I did get sent the entire Elemental collection by Game Beauty in PR, which was totally unexpected. I never even got like a message about it or anything. It just, a package showed up at my door and I was like, I don't remember ordering this. So thank you very much, Game Beauty. I am very sorry it took me this long to cover it. I do want to use this collection to practice doing some swatch content, but that hasn't happened yet. Maybe it'll happen. One thing I haven't done recently is a super green look. I have not done that, and I have said before, I personally, out of all the colors in the rainbow, I really like how green looks on me. So I was looking at all my thumbnails and I was like, I have not done green lately. It's been blue, it's been purple, it's been neutral, some warm, some pink. Let's try the Dendro palette. Now, I believe these are references to a video game that I personally don't play, but like Dendro and everything else. But so this is the green palette here. As you can see, there's no mirror. Some of the palettes have multi-chrome shades in it and others don't. This one does look like one of them might be, but we'll fiddle around with it. I haven't done a green look in so long. I think this should be really refreshing. It might be a little bit challenging because I might be a little bit like not used to using these kinds of colors, but I think it'll be good for me. Okay, so I am going to start off with Super Green. This is just a very vivid green. It's almost like a primary kind of green you'd see on like a kid's color wheel is what it reminds me of. So despite it seeming like I should, given that it intersects right with my hobbies, I've actually never used Game Beauty before outside of the Persona collection. I do have an affiliate link / code if you guys want to use it for some money off, which I know seems a little bit disingenuous considering that I've never used, like specifically I've never used like a big palette from them. I've only gotten the blushes and liners from the Persona collection, but the biggest reason for that has honestly just been that I just have not had the extra money for it. I did think the Adventure palette, their initial release was really pretty and I was going to buy it until I saw the pressed glitter, and then I was like, They heard that loud and clear. They've never put a pressed glitter into a palette ever again. The next several palettes, like the Fantasy palette and everything, I really wanted to get like the Victory palette most of all because of the blue and orange color scheme. It's definitely my favorite, but at the same time I have so many blue and orange palettes now that I felt kind of silly getting another one. But just nothing has super stood out to me yet. Maybe I'll have room for them this Black Friday. There's some other brands I've kind of kicked out, so we'll see. The other thing kind of holding me back is that I have heard mixed reviews about their eyeshadow formula, and so I didn't want to be spending all that money on something that I wasn't really going to like. So I've just kind of been biding my time, really waiting for something that really grabbed my attention. I don't know if I'll do individual videos with every single one of them because that's a little bit much, and then doing a video where I do one look with each of them all in one video that's literally like 5 times the filming for one video, so that also is a lot of energy. So I don't know. I at least wanted to bust out this one. If this one performs really well, then it definitely will I will continue to play around with these. So that's the first layer. It kind of didn't build on super like intensely. I had to really layer it up, but so far it seems to be blending out okay, so no complaints there. And now I'm going to go into Luck Plus 4 right here. So some of the references on an individual level are kind of lost on me, but overall I definitely get the vibe. Like, I'm pretty sure a lot of this, plus like Fantasy Cosmetica also, I think a lot of the times when they're talking like gaming inspired makeup, they're talking more like, sorry, okay, I was right all along. For some reason I thought MMORPG was wrong, but that's what it's called. I was thinking MOBA, which is definitely not what these games are inspired by, and is a completely different kind of game. So these are, a lot of the Fantasy Cosmetica and Game Beauty tend to take a lot of inspiration specifically from MMORPG games, and that's cool, especially because some of them, like World of Warcraft and whatnot, are so iconic in their own right. But I don't personally play MMORPGs, so any game-specific or MMORPG like super specific references, like certain classes, certain terms, stuff like that, are just going to be completely lost on me. However, some of the shades in here, I am seeing references to other games, like Seed Flare is, I don't know if it was intentional, but Seed Flare is Shaman's signature move. And then also they have the shade Bulba in here, which to me seems like a pretty obvious reference to Bulbasaur. I'm gonna put the same shade Luck Plus 4 on my lower lash line, and actually it's a little bit more of a blue-green without the initial shade Super Green to layer on top of. So you can see on top of Super Green it just kind of had a deepening and intensifying effect, but then on the lower lash line by itself it's more of a blue-green. I was going to avoid using the shade Zonite today just because of the fact that that shade is definitely outright teal, and I was hoping to stick more within the greens, but it looks like this palette is less of a monochrome green and more of like analogous green, which is a fun take on green palettes. Definitely a little bit, kind of sets itself apart a little bit more, but not necessarily what I was going for today, because now I'm gonna just go straight back into blue territory. So I'm now going to go into the shade Grow Grow Grow, which is the darkest green in this palette, and I do appreciate that most of these palettes seem to have a pretty acceptable range of light to dark. Yeah, okay, so on the brush, it's hard to tell because the bristles are dark, but on the brush, this is also a blue-green. So I find that hilarious, actually, that I said I was going to do a green look because I've done way too many blue looks only for me to be using teals. That is actually kind of funny. But I haven't really done a teal look in a while either, so because I don't actually have that many teal eyeshadows, so I'll take it. That actually makes this palette stand out a little bit more to me now, because we do have plenty of olive greens and warm greens and yellow greens and grungy greens, but teal is definitely not a super common shade. I think the most teal palette I've ever seen was High Tide by ColourPop, but for some reason I didn't really like how the shadows performed, so I didn't hold on to it. And the black spot you see here, that's not eyeshadow or powder or anything. I tried to pluck an eyebrow hair, but it just didn't want to come out, and so then I kind of irritated it a little bit, and so now it's like red slash black. It's irritated, and it'll go away in a couple days. I just have a tendency to do that to myself. So far so good. I'm getting good blending. They're not too powdery. They're anywhere between $20 to $28. This green palette is $25. I think that is definitely a very fair price to ask for this. I definitely do already appreciate these mattes a lot more than ColourPop. I wouldn't necessarily say they're revolutionary, but at the same time, as you can see, they're pretty easy for me to work with so far. I'm getting good blending. The only thing that would of course dock points would be if the wear time was really bad, which, you know, that would be something that I'd have to find out later, because like I'm just putting it on for the first time now. So as you can see, I've established a pretty good framework for the mattes. Definitely not like a groundbreaking look or anything like that, but I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go into this shade first, the shade Bad Breath, which is so funny, and then I'll go into the shade Luminescent Spore for the inner corner. So I'm going to go into Bad Breath with my finger. It does feel a little bit kind of dry and stiff to the touch, but I feel like, but it still has a nice opaque smooth layer on my finger, so I definitely think that that's sometimes better, because then it means it's not going to like be super greasy, which I don't really like when indie shades are super oily, because they don't generally wear well and they can sometimes behave really funny on the skin. So I'm just going to use my finger to apply this a little too broadly, but I was just going to stick it kind of all over here without covering up all of the blending that I just did. That is a nice opaque layer. I do like that. really, really pretty. I'm gonna go ahead and go into more of the matte shade just to kind of blend between them. It doesn't feel heavy on my eyelid either, which is good, so we'll see if it creases or anything like that. So I just added another layer of Grow Grow Grow. I kind of wanted to try and fit in Snake Eater somewhere. I don't know if I can, but maybe I'll try and stick it like kind of just right down here. I don't want to ruin this look by attempting to force myself to use every shade, but I think I have a little bit of room right here, right? Yeah, I did. So that's not a completely opaque layer, but it did pick up really easily with the brush, which is great. And I'm sure if I had used some kind of glitter glue or something, which the only reason I don't use a glitter glue is because frequently when I'm using something for the first time, I like seeing the performance of the shadows without any help. I kind of do wish I used my glitter glue more often though, because I also like being able to enjoy a really intense result, but I also feel sometimes like it's better for me to show off a shadow's capabilities without any aids for people who watch my videos who don't use stuff like that, but then it means that frequently I like miss out on being able to use it as often as I wish I would, so I may start using it more going forward, I don't know. So I just put on a little bit of Snake Eater. I think one of my cats just farted. I am going to use the shade Luminescent Spore on the inner corner. This is the only light shade in the palette. So Bad Breath ended up not being like a multi-chrome or anything, but Luminescent Spore definitely seems like it has some kind of shift to it, so... Okay, so definitely in the pan it looks kind of white, and then it shifts very green. So this is kind of that duochrome shade. I could see this being a really beautiful transformative shade on top of the darker shades in this palette as well. It's more smooth, it's not super like glittery, so it's not like ultra shiny, but definitely still reflective. Yeah, you can see how it definitely doesn't emphasize any texture. I'm gonna use Snake Eater on the lower lash line in the middle, just so that I can see that shade in action down there. I was gonna use something else, but I kind of want to see Snake Eater down here. Yeah, definitely more of like a teal. Again, this one is not quite as sparkly or reflective. It definitely feels kind of just like, I don't know, the only real word term I have to describe it is just like, it's like super like normal, but in a good way. Like it's just super solid. Okay, so lastly, I do want to kind of blend things out a little bit. So I'm going to go into Seed Flare, and this kind of is almost like an acid green. I'm just going to use this to add some brightness over top of everything. I know this look ended up becoming very teal, but I still want to put some green back in. So I'm just going to use Seed Flare as opposed to Bulba. This one has a lot of kick up in the pan. Seems to be very common for pastel shades that they're often a little bit more powdery, but as you can see, it applies and blends very nicely, and it does, like, it's showing up, it's making a difference. I heard that my one qualm, the reason I ultimately didn't get the Fantasy palette was because I heard some people say the pastel mattes in that were a little bit disappointing, so I ended up not going for it, but you know, maybe I'll get more from them this Black Friday. I may see if I can maybe ask for maybe a little, like 1 or 2 of their palettes in PR first. I don't know. I always feel kind of bad asking because I don't want to seem like I'm being greedy. Considering that I did receive these in PR, it may be worth for me to ask. I need to start planning out my Black Friday. So I'm going to take Bulba just on the innermost part just to blend out, just to kind of transition into the shade Luminescent Spore. But yeah, I do need to start planning out my Black Friday. I thought this month I'd be pretty open, but then I had to, I just recently restarted doing Pilates after I had such a long hiatus after getting back from China, but I finally restarted and I totally forgot to account for how much that costs, and I'm not necessarily doing it as a fun luxury. I'm doing it because it is pretty much one of the only forms of exercise that actually definitively and has been proven to me personally to help with my POTS immensely. Like night and day difference, and being on hiatus for so long, I've really been suffering without it, so I do not pay for it because I can. I pay for it because I have to. The place I go to is amazing. But it's expensive. But if I don't go, I feel a million times worse. I have to go. So I'm already so much weaker than I was. Like, I feel like my muscles have just straight up atrophied, but I have to go. So I went back for the first time today in a while. It was really good to be back, but that bill, man. Unfortunately, that is the cost I have to pay for my health. But anyways, this is the finished eye look, so I'm going to put on some false lashes. I finally have new lash glue, hooray! So I'll do that off camera. I'll be back to finish off this look. We'll go from there. This is going to be my finished look. Now, I did not put on my left eyelashes quite super well, so they're not super well adhered. But we're just gonna roll with it because I don't feel like taking them off and putting them back on. So my bad, I'm very sorry about that. Now, before I finish off this look, I have really been wanting to incorporate more of my singles into my looks in the future, among them being chiefly my CLIONADH collection. It's small but mighty and it deserves so much more love than I've been giving it. So I'm gonna go into this shade here, which I wish I could tell you what shade it was, but I've shoved them so close together that I actually couldn't tell you. I believe this is one of their Vibrant ones because the Vibrant line is my favorite of all time currently. I have not actually picked up any new shadows from the CLIONADH Stained Glass collection since their most recent expansions. I have been really wanting to, but I was not able to partake in the anniversary collection sale this year. They don't really do much for Black Friday, and I don't know if I'm gonna have the budget for it. And yeah, it's really broken my heart to have to pass on them so many times, but I am hoping to expand my collection. But if I expand my collection, that means I have to use what I already have as well. So that was the other thing holding me back, was just me being like, look, how could I even justify buying more if I claim that they're so good, yet I hardly use the ones I have? So I'm gonna use one of them today. I just really feel like adding it in. So I'm gonna use this on top of everything just as a nice topper. And yeah, I really do love the CLIONADH formula. The only reason I don't go for their jeweled multichromes is purely like partially a skill problem and partially a preference thing. I'm not good at using black based multichromes. Whenever I use them and blend them out, I always end up getting really muddy results. I'm just not good at making them look both blended while also minimizing how much the base pulls through. That's why I really wanted to try the new jeweled light line, because those were made for people like me. I also definitely want to try their earth line and a bunch of other shades from them, just so many. They expanded on their vibrant shades as well, and I want to try all of those. I mean, I probably have like 12 to 14 shades on my wish list at this point. It's just been piling up and I've just never been able to get around to doing it, and because I just was like, I just can't do it. I mean, you know, I always tell myself, you know, if I can grow my channel, make more content, and also if I can, you know, recover my energy levels, obviously that can only help, but we'll see. So long ramble aside, I topped it off with a CLIONADH single. It's subtle, but it just really makes all the difference. I love my CLIONADH singles and I'm really hoping to use them more in 2024. And then hopefully maybe I can get some more. No guarantees, but maybe. Okay, so as I said before, I really like the SHISEIDO Kajal InkArtist line. I think they are all so beautiful. I have most of them. The only one I'm not gonna get is the white one for pretty obvious reasons. The tea house one is missing its cap. Here is my little collection, and I'm going to specifically go for this one. It's in the shade 06 Birodo Green, and I think this will work because it's a very dark green. And I have used other shades in this range before. This will be my first time using the green one specifically. As long as this one performs similarly, I'm going to love it. So it is a fat little crayon, so it's not really like the easiest to get eyeliner lines with, but I still usually don't really have much trouble. And then I can just take a very tiny brush and just sharpen it up. These are so blendable. You get tons of playtime. These definitely are very similar to me to the Cupid's Arrow and the Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal eyeliners, and I like these more than Shiseido's own actual liners. I want to put the same shade on my inner corner just to add that inner corner depth that I always like to go for. This is too fat to use safely. I have done it before, but so I'm going to use a brush It's not quite as opaque using a brush, but you just are so much less likely to mess it all up. Now my eyes are complete, so I'm going to move on to my face. So first off, I'm going to be using the Makeup by Mario Bronzing Balm. I used light medium in a previous video, but the footage got lost. So today I'm going to use light while I decide which one I like better. As I said in that video, the reason I have two is because I ordered light and then Sephora sent me light medium. I do think though that with Sephora's customer service and going so far downhill, which oh my god, their customer service has gone so bad lately, and also with them laying off so many people and, you know, giving them like either no notice or giving them the worst severance ever, which is just so, honestly, so frustrating. I wonder if that means that we're going to see more order screw-ups in the future. That being said though, it's not really that funny because honestly, out of all the errors that could happen to you, the most common error is that you don't get your order, or that you get the completely wrong items in the worst way possible, or that your box is empty, or that your order is incomplete. Those are honestly far more common to happen to you if your order gets mixed up than for you to get extra stuff added in, or for your order to get mixed up in a way that you got a bunch of extra stuff. Like, if we think about it in the realm of possibilities of errors, sadly, the most common error is the worst one. And like, that's happened to me before. I've gotten incomplete orders, I've gotten broken orders, you know, stuff like that has happened to me. So this is warmer than light medium. I still haven't decided which one I like more. I think today I'm going to try the shade Teddy, just something simple and beige to match with the look. I do find it a little bit better sometimes to apply the cream product first and then blend out as opposed to the other way around, so that I don't accidentally apply the product in too wide of an area. And so to avoid messing up my base and to avoid getting foundation on the stick, I always apply in a stamping motion instead of a rubbing motion. That way I can get the product to transfer to my skin and not the other way around. And I'm just going to kind of blend it kind of up in a very vague diagonal. It did kind of interact a little bit funny with my under eye powder, which is something I have noticed when I use other shades. Weird things that happen when textures mix up with each other. Definitely a product to use under powder if at all possible. Sometimes I powder my under eyes without really thinking about it, and then I'm like, oh, right, I like to put blush close to my under eyes. I haven't seen this product from Persona take off my foundation yet. I'll go ahead and try it on the other side of my face, just applying it on the brush. I'm just curious now. Okay, I definitely may have put a little bit too much on the brush, but that's okay. I say as I actively make it worse. Okay, I put too much on this side. Okay, so again, I'm kind of seeing a similar issue with my under eye powder, so definitely not a product I should bring too far in, and yes, I know, asymmetrical. Okay, so I think I lost the footage of me applying the highlighter. I don't know if I lost the footage of anything else, but definitely the highlighter got lost. This is my first time using it on camera, and the reason I waited as long as I did is because I waited more or less until this product wasn't available anymore, because at the time that I got this product, as a disclaimer, I don't use TikTok, so I'm not always super aware of what's going on. However, I am aware of like the really big stuff that blows up, about the like really, really big stuff. It would be so bad for my ADHD. I need to hold sacred whatever attention span I have left. I cannot use TikTok. That's why I'm not on it, but I definitely was aware enough of TikTok to know about the issues surrounding Mikayla and false advertising. So at the time that I got this, I saw this and the mini palette at CVS, and I got both because I had a coupon, so I didn't pay very much for them. But then with everything that happened, I didn't really feel comfortable promoting the products that had her name on it on camera. But at this point in time, pretty sure you can't get any of these anymore, and I don't think they're coming back, so I don't really care if I use it now or not. And so I used the middle shade as my highlighter. I don't really have a green highlighter that's super sparkly that I super like, The only one that I know people will talk a lot about trying to find dupes for is a very specific discontinued highlighter from Kaleidos. Obviously I don't have that. I know Game Beauty does have a green highlighter as well. The only reason I haven't gotten that yet is just because I am waiting to place an order big enough to hit free shipping. Like, it's me. Like, you know, what do you expect? So I did use the middle shade here. These are actually really great highlighters. I think Glamlite has really good formulas. The only reason I haven't bought from them since the Martini collection is not because I don't want anything, although I'm definitely not into horror, so I definitely don't want any of the horror collabs, but like, I did really like the most recent Hershey collab. I would have gotten that. The reason I haven't though is just because the customer service is so god awful. Like, there is no customer service. What is customer service for them? And I just don't really think it's acceptable for an indie brand, especially one as large as Glamlite, to not have customer service. That's just not acceptable. So that's the reason why I don't buy from them, is because if something happens with my order, if something gets screwed up, I'm pretty much being left hung out to dry, and I don't want to have to deal with that. But I did get this from CVS, so I'm just going to use it really quickly for this. Obviously, if you wanted to recreate this look, any sort of green highlighter with a golden lean to it will work. This is just the one I happen to want to use today because I wanted to go for something super sparkly. With that all being on, the only thing left for me to put on would be my lip product. So unfortunately, it seems getting a new SD card did not fix my camera problem, and there's a couple of other interesting observations I have noted but I don't know what any of them could mean, so I'll have to continue to see if I can figure out what's going on. The one thing I haven't done yet that I probably should have done is I haven't opened a case with Canon yet, because I was just mostly sticking to like the forums and the Reddits where people have talked about these problems, seeing if I had a similar issue. Not really something I'm looking forward to doing, but because I'm not able to figure out the issue myself. There seem to be a couple of indicators though before it actually happens, so hopefully in the future I may just have to start, instead of just starting and stopping, I may actually have to full on reboot my camera every like couple of recordings. Expect random lost footage and me having to disclaim that I lost footage to be a common occurrence for the time being, because I cannot afford to replace this camera right now. The one thing I'm not very good at is matching lipstick to color eyeshadow. I've never been good at that. I've definitely gotten much better at matching lipstick to neutral eyeshadows of different kinds of tones. I translate to matching color eyeshadow. That does not. So I need to think. I like actually don't know. Probably be easiest to just match it with my blush, right? Okay, I think I'm going to be lazy. I have this one product from Dior. I actually don't know what shade it is because is that what it is? Hold on, I'll have to look. Okay, yeah. So initially I thought I couldn't tell you because I actually have it inside a floral case. This is not the newest one, which I do kind of want. It's such a cute little case. I do really want the new one. I was gonna get that during the Sephora sale, but then I ended up not. Now I'm kind of regretting that, but whatever. Hopefully I can get it eventually, but this is so I thought because of the fact that the shade is usually on the bottom of the tube, I wouldn't be able to tell you, but actually they do have it written in this, see the very light silver thing here, that light silver line, that is actually extremely small text showing the shade. So this is the Dior Addict Shine lipstick and it's in the shade 531. So I'm going to use this today just because I think this will be an easy cop-out shade for me to use. I do like the Dior lipsticks, I just don't like the price, which is why I don't have more than I do. I can only collect one luxury lipstick line at a time. If I could collect a different luxury range, I think I wouldn't even go for Dior next. Like, Dior would have to just keep waiting and waiting because I think after that the next one would either be Givenchy or Gucci, or if I wanted to really collect something really expensive, it would be the limited edition Hermes lipsticks. So that is shade 531. Okay, so I'm going to call this video done now, so again, my apologies for losing the highlighter footage. Thankfully, highlighter, if I had to pick a part of the video to lose footage of, I would pick either the like lips or the highlighter, something just kind of like you guys know how to apply it. It's really not that super difficult to do, and the most important part of it is just seeing the finished colors. So, but yeah, again, I am very sorry for all the technical issues so far. I hope you guys enjoyed this green look for a change, something colorful, something different. I like it. I definitely kind of feel like yeah, this is what my channel's about. Now I'll finally have a break in my sea of neutral thumbnails. So to all of you guys who mostly watch me for the color, I hope you'll stick around because I do love neutral shadows. A lot of the palettes that are in my backlog are neutral or neutral with color pops or toned down colors. So, that's just kind of what I've been really into lately, and I always go through phases in and out and in and out, and so I hope that that's okay with you guys. I do still want to do more colorful looks though, so I'll work through my backlog as I can. I'll inject more colorful looks in where I can. I'll try to make sure I do something fun once in a while. Now this look, while colorful, was technically and structurally very simple, so I also hope to do slightly more complex looks in the future as well. I've been doing a lot of simpler looks lately, which I think is just kind of a reflection of my energy levels and what my capabilities have been. So, and I know you guys all understand, but hopefully I can do even just once in a while. If I could do something a little bit more intense, that'd be nice, because when I first started the channel, the whole point of this channel was to do stuff that was more colorful, so I want to stick to that. I don't want to lose sight of that for sure. So with that all being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and this does definitely make me kind of want to do more videos using the other palettes in the Elemental collection. So if you do want to see in-depth videos and get ready with me using the other palettes in this Elemental collection, feel free to let me know in the comments. If I get enough comments, I will try and see if I can do it, because if I can just do this, a get ready with me with one look using this palette, and I hash out a lot of them, it'll kind of delay my other videos, but at the same time, these are definitely the easiest videos for me to film right now. And with that, take care. I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye!